What's going on? Coach Luca back here from Vigor Around Fitness and Performance, and we're going straight to the point. So I'm on the ground. We're going to start off with 6 ab/core. I kind of got to say that so that, you know, ab core exercises that you're probably not doing, but are not only like great for building abs, but 2, you know, they're really great at improving posture, and it's not usually what most people think about when they think about ab training. But if you plug these into your current training program, I promise you this, very challenging, and you're going to get a lot of results from it if you do them right. So first one is a kettlebell pullover. I'm going to kind of get an angle here so you see me a little bit better. So I'm going to go lay flat on the ground so my back is flat. I go past 90 degrees with my knees, and I'm keeping my feet together. Okay, so think of this is like the baby position, right? I'm going to take a kettlebell, flip it upside down. I'm going to stay neutral, so back, I'm feeling my back flat here. Getting those knees past 90. I'm going to come down about a foot off the ground and just hold it for 30 seconds. Okay? I can even push my heels into each other to engage core even more. So if I'd hold it for 30 seconds, I would pull it back over. To make it more challenging, okay? Exhaling, so there's a way where you don't have to hold it for 30 seconds, but we could just push our feet together, get them past 90 here. I'm going to come down and exhale fully. Take it in through the nose. And come back up. Okay, so what that does is we're working basically resisting that extension, but because we're on the ground and we're in this kind of developmental position, it keeps our trunk down as we resist that overhead pull, right? Anytime you exhale, it's going to work your abs even more. All right, so the second one is this half kneeling overhead pal-off press. So you guys may have, you know, known it from the pal-off press where we're standing to the side, bringing it out. Now, this one, we're going to be in a half kneeling position, and the first cues that I really want to kind of make sure I'm aligned with this. There we go. All right, so what tends to happen when we get into this half kneeling position is you'll see how my hips are actually pretty kind of tilted, right? If I grab both of my hips, you can see how one is way higher than the other. So one of the ways to really fix this, this is a great cue from Dr. Mark Cheng, is imagine like you're grabbing your butt, if you like that type of stuff, right? So grabbing your butt, and now I'm going to push it towards my other leg. So I'm literally driving my butt into my adductor. Now you can see how this leveled my hips out. Now it's also stretching out my hip flexor, making my abs really engaged. So that's a very, very important cue, because if you do this, it's going to improve this exercise, right? So I'm pulling the band. So remember now, this band is pulling me backwards. I'm in this half kneeling position. I'm driving that butt into my other leg. I'm breathing my out fully. Now I'm going to extend overhead. And come back down. And come back down. So, a couple things. The exhalation always helps you. So it's trying to pull you into extension, right? We're breathing down, so we're keeping our rib cage now nice and locked. We're pushing that butt cheek into the other leg, so we're nice and aligned. When you push up, breathe out. The band is trying to pull you backwards. We're resisting that extension. Really challenging exercise. You can go for time, you can go for reps, and you switch sides. All right, this third exercise is a plank and row. And remember, if you're at a regular gym, you know, we're using bands, you could use a cable, no problem, right? So this is a great kind of like position for the cable. So we're going to set up in our plank position. You know, the key here is with the plank is that you're not collapsing on your shoulders, right? I'm actually pushing myself away, firing my glutes, right? This is going to be obviously challenging because guess what? I'm staying just on one arm. My feet are going to be a little wider apart so I get some more stability. I'm going to reach out, and I'm going to pull. Control it back. So I'm keeping my hips aligned, so I don't want the twisting, right? I want to fire my butt. want to drive this elbow into the ground hard, push myself away, and then when I row, it engages my lats, right, and it engages my trunk. Everything gets connected, which is why it makes the abs and the core work so hard, right? So we could like do this for 8 to 10 reps on each side, controlled. So I controlled it back, not repping it super fast, right? Keeping it under control, 8 to 10 one side, 8 to 10 the other side, now be one set. All right, this next one is the band Jackknife. It's pretty challenging. I didn't want to make a complete fool of myself trying to get in band myself, so Cody's going to help me out a little bit. Get help when you do this one, by the way. All right, so he's going to pull it down. I'm going to get into it. Perfect. He's going to let it go. So now I'm in this push-up position. I'm going to fire the glutes. I'm going to push the ground away. Now I'm going to pull from the hips and keep my back flat and control it out and squeeze again. So the key is to not have your low back rounding. So essentially, if you think about it, once I pull my knees in, I'm in a squat, right? With my back neutral, and we're getting our abs stronger in those positions for deadlift squats, right? When we're pulling in, but we're pulling from the quads and the hips without rounding out, right? So that's a jackknife. You'd be doing 3 sets, 8 to 10 reps per exercise, controlled. Not just jerking it in and letting it come out, controlling. All right, this fifth exercise is a ab wheel rollout, but we're gonna actually roll to the side. The key here is your position, right? So when I come out to this ab wheel rollout, I wanna make sure that my hips are pushed through, my spine is nice and long, my butt's tight. When I roll out, I'm going to roll back in. My hips don't sag, so I'm not sagging my hips. I'm going to keep my core engaged when I roll out. To make it more challenging, pause and exhale fully. Makes it a ton harder, right? So butt's nice and tight, nice and tall. I'm going to go to the side. And come up. Right, so we do 8 to 10 reps, 4 to 5 on each side. Once again, when I exhale, right, that rib cage comes down. It makes everything engage more, and it prevents me from hyperextending and using my low back. Right. Another thing is too is to keep your neck neutral. I always like to say, try to keep a tennis ball like underneath your chin, right? Because otherwise you reach forward and you get out of posture. Like this is a very challenging one. Don't go too low if you can't go. Just only go as low as you can. Maybe that's just halfway from how far I went. Maybe it's more. Like I said, you cannot lose your position. So hips and shoulders should be in the same line. Exhale, pause for a second, and come back up. This last one is an absolutely great exercise. I love loaded conditioning. And like I said, there's waiters walks, there's rack walks. Today we're going to cover rack walks. And using the kettlebells, I'm going to load them up. Now, here's the key, right? We're going to walk around with these. Usually we do about 40 yards at a time. But I'm going to cover what not to do. The tendency to when people rack kettlebells is to lean back, right? So now I'm kind of using my joints versus my muscles. But if I'm in a tall position, right? So imagine having my joints stacked. Just like standing here is challenging for my core, right? My abs. So I'm loading them up, and I would just walk. To make it more challenging, a lot of times when you see the walks, the hips will be shifting, right? Cha-cha-cha. So what to do is if we actually raise our foot and control, right? Turn around. Make sure I'm not leaning back, stay nice and tall, which is obviously slower. You might cover less space, but that way, when I come up, my hip has to stabilize and my core has to be engaged, right? So when you look at me from the side, a rack position should not be leaning back or a collapse of the shoulder, okay? So we're keeping them elbow under wrist. So you see those joint angles. I'm nice and tall and packed. Ankle, knee, shoulder, hip, and shoulder aligned. So when I'm walking, I really have to be stable, right? Think of doing 3 to 4 sets, 40 yards, so 20 down, 20 back, with a more slow and controlled rep range. I'm sorry, not slow and controlled rep range, but slow and controlled step. I'm a little bit out of breath on this one. But take a load that you can walk, like, let's just say own it, right? If you go really heavy, great, but if you're not owning it and you're leaning and jolting your hips all over the place, you're not owning that and you're not really working the muscles that you should be. And that's the last one. So plug this. If you do your core exercises at the beginning of a training session, you can do that there. You can use them as fillers, or you can finish off with your core training, plugging in 2 of these different exercises at the end of any full body or split body training session. So use them, put them to play, use those correct, as I said, coaching cues, and you'll get a lot more out of them. Next time.